Hi, everyone. So nice to see you, and thanks for this. As you know, the reason you're here is because you were awarded a non-academic graduation scholarship, and there's like 8 or 9 of them at Concordia. This is one of the opportunities that this pandemic provides, is that most of the time what would happen is if you showed up at convocation, you'd walk across the stage and someone would say you've won the O'Brien Medal or the Malone Medal or whatever it is, and people would clap, and then after 3 seconds it's over. But now we have a chance to actually talk to you all. But really what jumps out at all this is the contribution you made to the Concordia and larger communities, right? All of you in your own way, and that's really special. And lots of people do things, and lots of people get half decent marks, but not everyone does all of that together. And so this is why we're talking to you all. So first of all, mad props to you all, and thank you. Thank you so much for doing what you did, right? This is why I get up in the morning. This is why I come to work. It's not because I want to work in a university. It's because I want to change the world. And at this point in my life, this is the way I think I can do it, by working with people like you. So this is what it's about for me. And this is the undying optimism that I and hope that I have every day I come to work, when I know that there are people like you out there that are changing things, that are in people's faces, sometimes tough, sometimes gentle, that are even doing things that no one at Concordia has any idea, right? Until we get an application or a CV for an award, and we go, holy cow, what's going on here? So once again, thank you all so much. So I'll pass it to you, Pierre. Why don't you start?
Okay. My name is Pierre Duchime, and I am a graduate of political science, BA honors. I'm also an incoming student at the BCL JD program at the McGill Faculty of Law. And now I'll pass it on to Margaret.
Hi, my name is Margaret Rolla. I've just graduated in honors linguistics with a minor in history. I'm going to be joining Pierre at the McGill Faculty of Law next year, which is quite exciting. And I've been very involved in the Concordia community in a couple different places. I'll pass it to Maurice.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maurice Guapum. I'm graduate in economics with a minor in business studies and computer science. I'm an international student, so I'm Cameroonian actually. And starting this fall, I'm going to start working at Deloitte in management consulting as a business analyst. So I'm going to pass it on to Nick.
My name is Nick Cutler. I'm a graduate in communication studies and political science. I've been very involved in a lot of student associations, especially the Comms Guild and ASFA over my time at Concordia. So far, I'm also going into an MA at Concordia starting next year. And I will pass it on to Kelly.
My name is Kelly Birchall-Reyes. I just graduated from my bachelor's in honors chemistry. I was in the co-op program as well as in the science college. And I'm currently doing my master's in organic chemistry at McGill. And I'll pass this on to Philip.
Hi, my name is Philippe Boucher. I did my major in First People Studies and minor in sociology, and I was mainly involved with the First People's Studies Member Association and with First Voices Week, which is the Indigenous Week of Concordia, and I'll be doing a master in criminology at the University of Montreal beginning September, so that's exciting. What about you, Andrew?
Oh, nice. I'm Andrew Woodall. I'm the Dean of Students. I'm almost 9 years at Concordia, which seems like an eternity. It's the longest I've ever been in a job. And who knows what I'm going to do next? Wow, good question. I mean, I'm going to jump right in here, right? One of the things that jumped out at me about those interviews you did, all of you, was there were some themes that came out. And the first one that's obvious is that you pretty much all said get involved, right? And you've all been involved in very different ways, in different levels with student life and beyond. Start in by saying what it was you did, or something that you're particularly proud of, and how it helped you be successful as a student. And you can define success in any way you want, but I don't think anyone would deny that you've been successful students.
So I think for me, one thing that, as far as community involvement is concerned, I had the opportunity to be involved in all faculties academically. So I did my BA with the Faculty of Arts and Science, my minor in Business Studies. I was heavily involved in the John Molson School of Business, and then my minor in Computer Science with the Gina Cody School of Engineering. So I think for me, not only was I involved academically in a variety of different faculties, but I was also involved in a variety of different associations in JMSB, within ASFA, if not directly, indirectly, in terms of meeting with different leaders of different organizations, counseling. And then one of my most proud achievements was being extremely engaged in the African student community while at Concordia. So I think having that variety of experiences and seeing people from a variety of different backgrounds, not only culturally speaking, but also ideologically speaking, because we are trained in these different schools of thought, so to speak. And I think that really gave me a very different perspective of Concordia and a deeper appreciation for Concordia and everything that it had to offer. So I do think that if you're able, for students that are going to watch this, if you're able to engage yourself in a variety of different mediums, because Concordia is it's like a whole world in and of itself. You can participate in anything. If you go from the Hive to Reggie's, is a very different group of students already in those two spaces, that are right next to each other. Right. So really take advantage of that and use that opportunity to not only learn about yourself, but learn about the world as it is, because you can find a lot through Concordia. So yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but in the piece on the Now, they had you as chair of the JMSB Faculty Council.
Which is wrong. Yeah.
I thought that was amazing. And I don't know if Anne-Marie's relieved or not, but that's amazing. You're the chair of the Faculty Council.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have a chance to correct that, actually, because I just double checked it and I was like, wow, this is I know Anne-Marie, she's the dean of JMSB. She's the chair of the Faculty Council. I have sat on Faculty Council though, but I was chair of our Commerce and Administration Students Association. So Anne-Marie deserves all the credit for that, for sure.
Wow, a little bit.
Just like Maurice, I myself was very, very involved at Concordia University. I was Vice President Academics at the PSSA, so that's the Political Science Student Association, and also the Concordia Model United Nations. So one thing that I really found fascinating about the involvement within these associations is that you get to learn a lot of things from public speaking, getting to know different backgrounds, which is very, very something at Concordia. And something that I did differently, I would say from Maurice, is that I went above involving myself with the faculty or Concordia University at large. I also involved myself within the community. I worked at this Canadian Council for Refugees since 2016 as a youth project leader, and also I had an opportunity to be selected by the government of Canada to work as one of the youth advisors to the Ministry of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. So what this really helped me is that I was exposed to a variety of mentorships that really helped me in, crafting of how do I see success? And also, I would say that my background as a refugee really pushed me to go towards working at the CCR and Immigration Canada. And yeah, I really liked my experience at Concordia and also involving in my community. And now I will pass it on to someone else.
So the reason that I originally came to Concordia, I had been accepted in the two programs that I wanted at Concordia and McGill, and I spoke to one of my cousins who told me about the Linguistics Student Association, which was the student association of the program that I had applied to. And they told me about the one at Concordia, and their friend had been involved, and they had made lifelong friends, and the professors were amazing. And so that's literally the exact reason that I came to Concordia. And then I was lucky enough to be involved in the Linguistics Student Association for 2 years, which were probably the best years of my life. I made, just like the advice that I was given, I made lifelong friends. I learned so much. I built relationships with my professors because I was organizing academic talks, or asking them for connections for like professional meet and greets and things like that. So I really found kind of this holistic community where I could have social endeavors. I was nourishing like my academic mind. I was building relationships with my professors, and I just felt so incredibly supported by my department that I just felt like I could go and get involved in other things because I had felt like so good and so supported doing what I did in the linguistics department. So that pushed me to get involved in the kind of Concordia like community at large. I was the general coordinator of ASFA for a year, which was very different than being involved in a small department. It had its benefits and its drawbacks, but it was an experience I learned a lot from. And I think one of my favorite things that I've done at Concordia that has really pushed me towards my most successful things is working at the CSU Advocacy Center. I was lucky to have like an incredible training, and then I get to work with students one-on-one and to help solve issues in the community. And it's just taught me how to approach problems, how to deal with different types of people, and also just like helped me understand the intricacies of a community and of the university. And it's just, I've carried it with me since, and it's just, all of it has been so incredible.
Like Margaret, the reason why I went to Concordia was because of the programs that were offered there. So I chose to come here because of co-op and the Science College, and I am so grateful for those two programs, which really enriched my experience here. And through getting involved from working in a variety of laboratories with Science College and appreciating a variety of different sciences and using those to shape my views of science, that really helped me grow to really appreciate research. And I found that co-op really complemented that as well, because it helped me to flesh out my research interests and my interest in science. And from getting involved with those two communities and from helping organize the Bold Science Conference to helping mentor in both Science College and co-op, it's been really rewarding and helpful to share my experiences with other students. And another way I was involved in Concordia, which really, really, how to say it, it was great. I was in the Garnet Key, and it really bolstered my leadership skills and helped me to really see myself in a whole new light and to help the Concordia community. I was really involved in other things outside of Concordia, so because of that, I was able to integrate the community initiatives I was having. So I was volunteering at the Children's Hospital, so the Garnet Key went to the Children's Hospital and volunteered there for one of our monthly community initiatives, and it was really something that our year did. Our community project chair people were really on the ball. They did a great job, and they started monthly community initiatives, and I was really helping them to spearhead that. Yeah, so if someone else wants to take over.
I've been involved at different level. I mentioned at the Student Association of First People Studies and more on the university level with the First Voices Week. And it was very interesting for me to try to gather all the parts of the university and make as much people involved and build partnership to create this Indigenous Week that's run every year. And I was involved to put it bigger and make it more wide and open to the whole university community, but also beyond Concordia. So that was an amazing experience. But also on the community level, I was involved with Virtivik, with Inuit employment. So helping Inuit and especially ex-offenders to find job and be kind of rehabilitation. And that's also shaped what I wanted to do after my degree, and that's one of the reasons I applied in criminology and working around how people who experience violence and committed violence were able to exit those circles. So that's from my involvement in the community. It's shaping my interest in what I want to do after. So I think that's very valuable, and that's why I want to continue in those fields.
I was involved in a lot of sort of student life stuff, especially at Concordia. I did things sort of the other way around from a lot of people, where I sort of had friends who were involved with ASFA at first, so the Art and Science Federation of Associations, and I got involved sort of at the faculty level first, and learned a lot there. And it's like been, you know, really valuable experience that I think will help me for a very long time. But I sort of from there went backwards and got very involved in my department, and I find that has been one of like the most rewarding experiences that I've ever had. So I got very involved in the communication studies department, and there, you know, I was sort of able to get a certain sort of depth of knowledge as opposed to the sort of breadth that you get at a lot of the sort of higher level faculty level or university level kind of things. And I found that has been, incredibly rewarding, so being able to sort of know the students that you're representing, know the department, know the faculty members. I found that I was able to be a better advocate, a better voice for students, also able to, put on events and sort of help create opportunities. We created an academic conference for communications undergraduates there. So that sort of getting very involved in a smaller subset of a community, I found to be a really rewarding experience, especially at a place like Concordia, which is, or can be very intimidating. It's a very big place. So,
I must say that, Nick, I'm very impressed because we had a class together in voting behavior. I don't know if you remember. And it's very interesting to see that you were doing some stuff, that I was doing, and I didn't have the opportunity to kind of interact with you during the classes. But I'm really happy, and it's very interesting to hear what you did at Concordia.
Yeah, same here. It's always funny to me. I feel like student life and academic life are very segregated, and I'll sort of realize all of a sudden that, oh yeah, that person who I had a class with a couple years ago, oh yeah, they're like running the PSSA or the student association or whatever. It's like, that's the same person.
One of the things that that I really, it's a bit self-indulgent, but I'd love to hear is, what you think you learned about yourselves over the course of your undergrads at Concordia? Like what is, you came in one way with potentially expectations, or if you were like me, you just went in blind and not knowing what the hell you were doing, but probably had some expectations, and now you're different people, right? You're the same people, but in a different format. And I wonder what you've learned about yourselves over the last, I won't say number of years, because some of you might have been there for longer than others.
I think for me, it's really just been, personally, in terms of what I've learned about myself, is my ability to be in a variety of different environments, right? So I spent a lot of time with business students. I really did, right? But as you'll see, I technically did not graduate with the Bachelor of Commerce, right? So I spent a lot of time in the Faculty of Arts and Science with ASFA students. I spent a lot of time with engineers and computer scientists, and a lot of time with people from a variety of different places. And I think it also, I kind of had to do that as well, being an international student. I've been in Canada for 4 years now. So I think for me, it's really been pushing myself. I didn't realize how much I could push myself to be in these different environments and learn from all these different people from different backgrounds, not only culturally, but academically as well. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that's definitely what I've learned most about myself, just my ability to adapt in these different spaces.
I think I wrote that in the article, and I said that, there's actually no good in comparing yourself to others. This is something that I've learned at Concordia University. I came in the first year I was comparing myself to others. I was like, okay, this guy has a better accent than I. This guy is expressing himself better than I. Or this guy is getting A pluses and I was starting with A minuses. Or this guy is like this guy is like that. I got to know that, you know, yourself, you have to create a sort of like a calm inside, you know, having a peace of mind and getting to know what are your how can I say that? You obviously have talents within you, but it just takes some time for you to sit down and reflect on yourself. The first time I went to a public speaking in my Concordia University, I think it was during a Conman conference, so Concordia Model United Nations. Yes, I didn't believe in myself. It was just like, these guys are coming from different backgrounds, and here I am myself. I spent 10 years in a refugee camp, and coming here, and I'm like, these guys are obviously better than I. But at the end of all these things, I got to know that, you know, if you sit down and relax yourself, do not compare yourself to others, and just find what is good in you and manifest it, and you're gonna grow confidence. And I think that's something that I've learned at Concordia University. I'm really grateful for that.
I think one of the most important things that I learned at Concordia was to only do things because you really love doing them. I mean, obviously if you can, I think you will do better at the things that you love doing. I think at some point I signed up for an easy elective. It was like BTM 200 or like one of those online classes that everybody takes. And I got in like to the first 2 weeks of it, and I absolutely hated it so much. And I was like, I know that I could push through this and probably end with a good grade, but I hate it. Like, it's horrible. And I decided to drop the class, and I was like, maybe I'll drop the class. Maybe, you know, I'll have to take another class that's harder. Maybe I won't get a good enough, like as good grade in whatever class I take, but I can take this time and actually put it towards something that I like doing and make this other thing that I'm doing, like, reap my time and reap my energy, as opposed to putting in my energy to something I really was not enjoying. And I also certainly learned my limits at university. When I think everyone in this call knows that when you're doing a lot, like you feel it creeping up on you, and then you don't know when you're finally going to break, but it happens. And then you learn, and then you know going forward how much you can take and what your limits are.
For myself, what I got into a class called it's personal finance.
I remember studying for it.
It was really crazy. Well, the idea of going to study personal finance, I think it's very good. But you know, I got into myself into this class, and it was really, I was not having that passion that you're talking about. But what I did is that I kept myself going in this class, knowing that it's very important to know your finances. You know, obviously going out from CJP, I don't know how to do my taxes. Even though I got not a good grade, which was a B. That's why I talked about one time that, you know, having one or bad grades in your transcript is not the end of the world. Contrary to what Margaret is saying, that she dropped out. For me, I just saw it as an opportunity, regardless of how hard it is. I pushed, and obviously I got some tiny bit of knowledge in finance, and hopefully I can use that for my my yearly taxes.
More importantly, did you get a refund? That's the mark at the end of the year, man. Anyone else have something they learned about themselves they want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that I relate to the fact that sometimes we want to do like everything, we want to push so hard, and we want to bring change for sure, but at the end of the day, we can do everything by our own. And I think that's the thing maybe I learned, I tried to do it, to gather people around me, around the project. Like, we can do anything on our own, and it's important to look around us and try to get other people involved. A lot of people have very like huge potential, but maybe their lack of confidence, or maybe they don't see their place. So reaching out to other people, reaching out to people that even your friends, and if they want to get involved, I think that's something I try to do, and it was really fun, and that's that's what I try to do, right? When I'm involved, when I'm at school, everything has to be nice. I want to, as Margot said, it has to be worth it, and you have to like what you're doing, and bringing friends. I think that's the good way to build solidarity and push change even more far.
Yeah, just to build off of what Phil and Marguerite just said, because I think that's incredibly important. Like for any student that's like very, very engaged in the Concordia community, you're gonna get to a point where it's like you have 4 or 5 classes. You have all these association meetings. You have an event that's coming up. You have a midterm that's coming up the next week. You have to study over the weekend, organize. It's hell, right? And you get to that limit where you realize like I can't do anymore. And I think the lesson in that, and what Phil just touched upon, which is incredibly important, is learning for student leaders. It's learning how to train other leaders to do the things that you can't do, because you can't be anywhere, you can't be everywhere. So I think something that I learned tremendously is how to, like, if I want to see a change in a specific department and a specific association, learning how to mentor younger students. If you're a senior student in your 4th year, mentoring first year or second year students that are equally motivated, that don't yet have all these things on their plate, and getting them, giving them the tools that they'll need and the lessons that you've learned, so that they can thrive and they can create this change in your community. So you don't always have to be at the front and leading it, but you can always be advising and mentoring the people that will eventually lead the change. So I think that's something that's incredibly important, something that I could not have learned without Concordia and without those late nights in the library and being like, why did I put myself in this situation?
I actually see myself as one of those people who was mentored, because one of my professors, Dr. Joyce, really pushed me to keep applying myself and keep reaching higher. He encouraged me to go to Germany, and when I was in Germany, he encouraged me to apply for a Rhodes Scholarship. He just kept pushing me out of my comfort zone, and just important to get good mentors and to appreciate them, because they really help you to see yourself in a whole different light, and I'm very grateful to those people.
I don't know if Professor Schneider and Professor Tina will have hear this, but your mentorship have been really great, and they've put a lot of power in and incited a lot of success in my life, and I'm really grateful for that.
Well, Nick and Marguerite, Maggie both know that I rarely try and tell people what to do, because I've learned the hard way. It's not right, but you should tell them. If they might not see the video, but you should tell them, because they'd love to hear that.
I did.
I can echo what everybody else has said, especially in terms of sort of finding your limits and working in teams. And it's very difficult to get anything done without doing that, or anything done at scale. But I do think, at a very fundamental level, one of the things that I've sort of learned in my time here is just that we can actually or I can actually do things and do real things, right? And I think there's sort of this, at least I had this assumption going in of oh, well, you're students or you're young people, and you might participate in things, but you don't really get things done independently. And I think one of the real benefits, especially of learning the Concordia system and sort of how things work, or learning just whatever community it is that you're within, is actually being able to independently, or within a group, achieve real goals, right? And actually organizing things, or actually seeing change in the communities, positive change in the communities that you're in, that are spurred by students, right? And not just as a sort of oh, this is a student organized thing, but this is a thing. It was important for me to learn that what we're doing here can actually matter in a real way.
Yeah, there's a whole conversation there, because it's really interesting. And part of my job, I come into contact with activist students a lot for all sorts of reasons, right? And there can be a feeling in that community of frustration about never getting anything done, right? And but one thing that characterizes all of you, and reading the piece, knowing some of you and reading the piece that was in the Now, is that there's a sense of grabbing opportunities, so that it's kind of this positive way of seeing what's out there and looking for the opportunities and doing something about them, and curiosity, which came up in a bunch of the interviews, right? And that is by definition, I mean, you can be curious in a lab, right? And really scientifically and push that curiosity, but you can also be curious, and they're not mutually exclusive, curious about other people, right? And curious about ideas. And that came out of those interviews. But curiosity comes up about anyone who's thought about history and change and making things happen. Will say, you hear it over and over again, that, staying curious is a doorway to all sorts of things. Some of you have talked about this, but one of the things that also comes out at me is that you all see yourself in relationship to others. None of you see yourselves as knights on horses, right? Riding valiantly in the front with a standard, right? And having all these other people trying to keep up with you. There's a sense of in it together. And I'm wondering how you see that, and whether that was something you came in with to the Concordia, or whether that's something that came along as you looked for opportunities and got involved, or how that played out.
I think that what was very clear to me from the beginning of my involvement in Concordia is like, you are a student, and if you're involved, you're usually representing other students. And so ultimately you're just one fish in a sea of other students, and your opinion ultimately is irrelevant often. Like, you have to do what's best for the student body, even if you disagree with that, even if you have trouble with that, you have to represent your peers faithfully. And I think that applies in a lot of ways. Obviously, it applies in like when you're in a decision-making role, but also like what types of events you're hosting, what types of things you're organizing. Like, I think if you see yourself as the prime audience, you will inherently be unsuccessful. You have to do what's best for the student body. And I think that's the whole point about being a leader, is just recognizing that you are just one among other people. I don't know if the word leader implies like some sort of hierarchy, but I think that, yeah, ultimately you are with everybody else. And if you go against that, ultimately you'll be to your downfall, not everybody else's.
I think leader is a noun and an adjective. And I think you beautifully described the adjective part of it, Maggie. Someone else?
I would say one thing that I wrote in the piece on the Now was that relationships are everything. And I think investing your time in getting to know people on a personal level is incredibly important, whether it's your professors, whether it's the security guards, the custodians, the librarians that are, that allow us to be who we are and that make the university what it is, whether it's your classmates, whether it's people in different associations. I think one thing that I took so much pleasure in is just getting to know people, right? And to be able to get to know people, you can't see yourself as, oh, I'm the president of this, or I'm on this board, or you have to see yourself as one of the people. And I think relationship development is something that's incredibly important. It's important for finding mentors. It's important for finding friends. It's important for anything and everything. And I would say that's probably the most important thing to remember as a leader, that it's relationships. I often tell people, like I remember with some of the teams I've been involved with, one of the things I used to say was that our titles don't really matter. Like, I've been elected as president, but like, it doesn't mean anything, right? If I don't show you respect like everybody else, then how much respect will you show me, even though I have this title? So I think even with these titles, we need to forget about them, and we need to keep in mind that leadership is not about the title; it's about the attitude and the energy that you bring to the table. And even when you don't have these titles, it doesn't mean that you're any less of a leader.
What I really enjoyed about my experience at Concordia was that all of my peers in my classes, we all formed study groups and we all built each other up, and I found it was really important. And I wouldn't have understood my course material if it weren't for my friend sitting next to me helping me understand this and me helping him understand something else, and my lab partners. I don't think that my experience at Concordia would have been nearly the same if it weren't for my supportive peers alongside me who helped me to succeed in my courses. And I don't think that ideas that we come up with on our own are as strong as the ones that we discuss with our peers, and that we like challenge each other and have those discussions to make sure that we see all sides of the story. Like I was saying, in science college, we're all from different departments of the sciences, and so it's interesting to get a psychology point of view compared to a physics point of view, compared to a biology or kinesiology and applied physiology. I think that's what we're calling it now. It's great to get all the different points of views and to see science through another set of eyes. It's also great to get involved with your faculty and to engage with your professors, because they have a lot of interesting things to talk about, not just about science.
I think that's very interesting, because for me, in my major in First People Studies, especially, it's very interdisciplinary, and I learned so much about how indigenous perspective and worldviews can be applied for everything. And that's what I try to keep within me, and trying to apply the things I learn and rethink and think maybe outside of the box about how even engineering or biology, their indigenous perspective are valuable, and they're very interesting, and things I wouldn't think about before my degree, or before even talking with my colleagues. I really learned a lot of things from the other students, from the profs, and this idea of always being critical about what we were learning, where the knowledge coming from, and how it's been applied, and all the biases and all our biases, our privilege, and these ideas are very important, and staying critical about everything that we learn, and even the things we do. I think that's really something that it's staying within me, and I try to apply every day.
I think something that was really important, I think the deans of students touched upon that, is being is staying curious, and this is something that I had in my classes. You know, if you're in a class and the prof is talking about something, just having that in mind and being curious, and why is this and why is that, and also you can keep that and have some TAs, go talk to some peers, and I think everyone touched upon that, and just that's what I would say to future students at Concordia University. Just keep on being curious, always have a question mark, and I think it's just going to open lots of doors and advancement in learning, and also having a better understanding of what's an education.
That's a great segue into any final thought just about your experience. I think it was you, Pierre, who wrote that, this is just one part of a much longer journey in your piece. And it is, right? I mean, you are graduating from Concordia at the undergrad level, but who knows what's going to happen next anyway. So any final thoughts or shout outs or whatever you want to do?
Seriously, I want to shout out to first all the security guards at Concordia University. Seriously, yes. They've been nice people. At the library, I want to shout out to my friends. Also, Maurice here is been a nice guy. I want to shout out to the profs. I really liked how they were teaching, and I think like Concordia has a bright future in leading as a university.
Yeah, I would say I liked custodians and librarians that are always giving us laptops, helping us with our books. Thank you to them. You guys matter so much. I'm incredibly grateful for you. Thank you to my parents, my family, my sisters, my friends. Thank you to the African Student Associations, the African Students Community at Concordia. You guys are amazing. To CASA, the business students. I've learned so much through JMSB. And thank you for everyone that's just been a part of this journey and just that's helped me in any way, shape, or form. This is not my degree, this is your degree. You guys made this happen. So, and I thank you guys so much for that.
I would also thank all the people that supported me, and it's been quite the journey, and something I would encourage is to go get all the opportunities, and I'm super happy I did the student exchange and all these these opportunities and services that exist at Concordia are very rich, and sometimes we don't take the time to look at all the amazing organization opportunities on campus. So I think that's really worth it to take a look, and depending on interest, there's something for everyone, and yeah, you'll find your thing for sure.
I'd like to thank my department, the CMLL department, and specifically the linguistics programs, professors, service assistants, reception, like everyone. I've always walked in and it's felt like home. And that being said about community, just for words of encouragement for future students, just to find that community and find that place in Concordia where you walk in and you're happy and you sit down and you chat with people about nothing related to what you were just thinking about, to just like have these lovely kind of like interludes in your day. Just find your community. Mine was my department. We have an incredible like fee levy community with every single different niche that you can find. We have incredible student organizations, clubs. It's there. Like when you start as a student, whether you're a student, just consult that list of everything and you'll find yours. And I promise it'll be better.
I want to say thank you to all the faculty and students at the Science College, for all the professors and grad students who have been patient with me and have helped me to light that Bunsen burner, or just been patient with me through the learning process. Thank you so much to the Co-op Institute, especially to Lucia for advising me through so much stuff, to the Garnet Keys, to all my friends, my family, and just thank you everyone for your support.
Yeah, I mean, I'd really like to thank both the departments I've been involved in, so especially the Communication Studies department and the Political Science department. And I think sort of within that, sort of a special thanks to the department assistants and technicians, and I mean, even like the Dean of Students Office, and like all of these sort of support services that have been really there, and really sort of keep things going and help you figure out a big system when it's not entirely obvious. It's been tremendously helpful, and I'm really grateful for it. I think, yeah, in general, I'd say like get involved early, just sort of jump in if you can, and there will be more opportunities that present themselves once you're into it. So yeah, just get started.
I think I will regret if I don't restart my shout outs. I want to say thank you to my parents. I want to say thank you to the Political Science Student Association, PSSA. I want to say thank you to the department itself. And I want to say thank you to the security guards, librarians, and everyone else. You guys have been incredible. And one last thing I would tell everyone, or any future students at Concordia University, please have confidence in yourself and you can do this. I'm done.
Oh no.
Why you make a list?
You're just getting started. That was a masterclass in really thoughtful, humble shout outs, to be honest. I'm going to make sure that Darren, who's number 2 in security, knows that that security guards were thanked on this, because they don't get a ton of thanks. And I think it's there's I don't know what it is. There's a whole other conversation about recognizing people who actually make things work, who aren't at the top of something, right? The top of the pyramid. And wow, it's good to be reminded of it. And it's true, the department assistants, without them, I can't even imagine where we'd be, even in the work I do. So thanks to you all, right? I think, you know, on behalf of Concordia and on behalf of myself, it's been really great knowing some of you and working with some of you, and I can't thank you enough for learning. And hat tips to you all. Thank you so much for doing this, and I can't wait to see you out there at some point when we're rocking it in something else we do. So thanks a million. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.